Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey guys, this is so good. We don't even want to waste our time. We got Uncle Leon. He busy and driving, but he loves y'all so much that he's come in the room to help. Suzie in my heart is always with the women, but Uncle Leon knows that the men is connected too. And so as busy as he is, the fact that he finds time here and there to come in and grace us so we can understand both sides, we're truly honored with it. So we're just gonna just dive right in. Now, I was gonna talk about the male video first, but it seems like Uncle Leon is focused on the first one. And so I'm gonna roll with where he is. So is that okay, Suzie?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first recording, the first message that we had was from a lady, and she sent us a message basically telling us that her and her mom have been living together since before COVID. And she's been doing work on herself for about 12 months, and she's become self-aware. But in her self-awareness, she's realizing that her mom is very religious. She doesn't respect her boundaries, nor does she respect the boundaries of how she's raising her own son. So she doesn't respect her daughter or her grandson's boundaries. Mom feels entitled because she's mom and grandma. She reached out to the daughter's church to ask for help because the daughter told her if she don't get it together in August, she's going to move out. And she's asking for help and wanting to know how to keep a loving relationship and protect her mother with where she is. So Uncle Leon already ready to talk, so we're going to give him the floor, and then Suzie will chime in afterwards, if that's okay with that, guys. Okay.
So the thing is, you said a lot there, and I listened to everything that woman said. She wants to protect her lover, protect her mother, love her mother, whatever. But does her mother want the same thing for her? That's just one question. Does her mother want the same thing for herself? So her mother, that's why I have an issue with the church thing and these people, these pastors, ministers, and first ladies and all this stuff, because people buy into anybody that's in the pulpit. They buy into a mega church. They buy into it, but there's a difference between religious and being spiritual. I am not religious, okay? Very spiritual guy. I know my connection. I know who I am. I know where I've been. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm at. So my thing is, when people come to me with these, I can't quote a scripture word for word. Nope. Don't want to do it. Don't know how to do it, but I know how to live it. I can read one and understand if it relates to me, and if it doesn't, why not? I know what to do from there. But the fact that her mother throws it out there, or she said my mother's religious, that's right there is where her mother stands on, because then what she do, she gets the church involved. That doesn't mean things are going to be fixed. That definitely doesn't mean that she's ready to be fixed, because people go to church. Some people, I went years not knowing how to repent. Okay? People say, I'm going to repent on Wednesday. I'm going to Bible study. I'm going to repent on Sunday. I'm going to do my confessions. I'm going to get up in the pulpit or in front of everybody and confess. And then they turn around and continue doing it. Then they say, okay, well, God will forgive me. I need another chance. I need 2 more chances. No, in the meanwhile, you're hurting people that are in your path. You're acting like you're repenting. And then see, I've seen a lot of stuff with church, and it's just, I don't get involved with it. But I listen, I understand. But those are the people that cannot guide me, because I've dated people that knew the Bible, women that knew the Bible, that was praying and going to church. But I see in the house at home when we were together, their actions are totally different. And I'm like, nah, you can't tell me about the Bible. I'll read it on my own, or you can't tell me about God, whatever. I've had many experiences with God, myself alone, and a lot of them shook me. All of them scared the heck out of me. So her mother may be religious, but is she spiritual? Is she grounded? Is she aligned? Not the way what I heard in that voicemail. She's not. The mother is abusive, right? Disrespectful, not aligned. And so the daughter cares more for the mother than the mother cares for the daughter and her grandson. And she's still trying to, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. She's going to get the help from the church or whatever, start therapy, whatever. And it's going to get stronger and stronger. Her approach, the grandmother's approach to everything is going to be stronger and stronger, up until they say, okay, Mom, we love you now. We know this in the past. And as soon as they let her stay there in August, she's going to start over.
Yep.
She is going to start over, because people can turn it on, turn it off. I did it for many years. So her mother is a master manipulator, disrespectful. But you got to find out her mother needs to go back into her past because she was obviously neglected and abused, and she hasn't dealt with it.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything about religion. Leon already covered those bases in terms of this conversation. But one of the things that she was also asking about or for was how to manage herself and to not be triggered by the fact that her mom's like this, right? And so I would say the last thing that Uncle Leon said, very important to first acknowledge where she's coming from. Like there's a reason she's like that.
Yep.
It's not, it has nothing to do with you. It's the fact that she was raised that when her inner child and all of that stuff is coming out, and she's releasing it onto you, unleashing it onto you, taking things out on you and your son. Stop right there, right? So, but when you come from that place of knowing that, okay, then you can separate it from your own stuff in your own personal relationship better, hopefully, so that you can come from a place of love in your response, including love for yourself and your son, and not from a place of anger, which is really fear. So anger masks fear, and we don't ever want to come from a place of fear. We want to come from a place of love. With that, you get the audacity to be able to heal yourself and her if she decides to go that route. Because when you said, because she's my mom, it doesn't matter. My mom called me pendeja one day as a grown up. That means you fucking idiot. She said, which all you hear growing up is that in a Mexican household. So when she told me that as a grown up, I finished my master's degree, I left, right? And I was like, you don't talk to me like that anymore. I know better now, and I'm not going to put up with it. So in terms of her, and then so how you approach, if you want to, it sounds like your mom's at a level where what Uncle Leon is saying, take it with a pinch of salt. But in terms of her claiming to be working on stuff now, I also was very hesitant to accept that to mean anything, because does follow the pattern of manipulation that it sounds like she's already been performing. But ultimately, if the behavior hasn't changed and your boundaries are not acknowledged, which she said that they're not, it doesn't matter what she says. She can be working on herself, beautiful, amazing. And you can encourage that if you want, but it doesn't mean you have to be in the space with her. It doesn't mean you need to maintain the relationship where she has access to do those things to you and your son in the way that she's been doing. He deserves better. You deserve better. And so this ties into the next conversation, because she talked about, or her next question, I was talking really fast.
I want to go there. But is it okay if I just chime in 1 second? We're going there. I do want to pause, because I love how Leon so elegantly brought it with spirituality and religion. And I go back and forth so many times with identifying as a person who follows the way. Many call themselves Christians. But when we actually read the word, and when we actually read the 10 Commandments, there's only one commandment in there that comes with a blessing and a curse. And it's honor thy mother and thy father, for thy days will be short if you don't, and thy days will be long if you don't. Why I said this is because the Christian world has us in a place of thinking that honor means being abused.
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't.
There's no honor there.
There's no honor there. And so you can still, go ahead, Leon.
Go ahead. I'll wait till you're done.
So you can still honor your mother. You can still love your mother, but you protect yourself first. You don't have to be disrespectful to her. You don't have to yell back at her. You don't have to cuss at her. I had to learn this in my own life with my own mother and grandmother. I used to get triggered and I used to get angry with them. And I started getting convicted more and more that anger was not healthy. And I could not talk to them like that, because at the end of the day, I still had to honor them. So at points, I had to learn that I have to remove myself if it becomes a point of being unhealthy, because I love them too much and I honor them too much to disrespect them. But I also love myself too much to continue to be disrespected, even though they didn't understand what they were doing. Right. Because I think what Leon said is so true, and what Suzie said is so true. They don't know what they're doing because it's culturally what's been happening along the way. These are a part of your generational curses, and they just don't realize what they're doing. But nonetheless, when that man asked Jesus, and the only reason I can speak biblical because they did so much good stuff on the word, on the world, so I can actually go here. But when the man asked Jesus, and I've said this before, what is the most important commandment? And Leon just said, love God with all your heart, with all your mind, and all your soul. I love how Leon said, I can't quote a scripture word for word, but I know how to live it, because that's you loving God with all your heart, all your mind, and all your soul. And then they asked, what's the second commandment? He said, love your neighbor as yourself. You cannot love anybody if you don't know how to love you first. That includes your parents. And so when you learn how to love you, then you learn how to love them the way that you are able to love them in that season. And that's okay too. Now I'll hush so Leon can add to it and Suzie can add to it before we go to the second segment with her ex-husband.
I'm going to tell you something real quick. You all, ladies. We're going to go to her mother real quick. Her mother could possibly be suffering from PTSD, which could be an untreated trait passed down from slavery, whatever, right? But she's suffering. And as long as she's suffering and does not get help, which is talk therapy, maybe medication, she's going to continue to do what she's doing because her cognitive skills are off. Her ability to react and make a judgment off her gut instinct is off. That was the same thing that happened to me. And I read it in my service, my medical record, and it woke me the hell up. My cognitive skills were off, and I did not know. I couldn't make good decisions based on my gut instinct. So what I was doing was fleeing. What I was doing was hurting people's feelings. What I was doing was being disrespectful, yelling and screaming. So my cognitive skills are off. Her mother needs talk therapy, and it's not about taking pills. She has to get into talk therapy because she needs to understand how she's harming her daughter and her grandson and everybody else that's involved, that's in her path. So if she doesn't get all of this church stuff, loving, care, self-respect, all of that, I got it. But it boils down to her mother needing therapy. And we toss this word around, trigger. The word trigger is a trigger within itself. The other problem that the lady is having is that she is allowing her mother to trigger her. Before she even gets home, she's thinking about her mother. What is she going to say? How's she going to disrespect my son? But until she got to understand right now that mom has the problem. My mother is not who she should be. My mother's not loving and caring because she has mental issues. And that's okay. She can get help. So she has to understand before I get home, my mother had a pattern. I had a pattern. My ex-girlfriend had a pattern, and she triggered the hell out of me because I allowed it, and I didn't understand why she was doing it. And as soon as I understood myself, I was able to understand her. So I was triggering her, and she was triggering me. Somebody got to remove themselves. Not saying physically, but remove yourself from triggering the other person. So the mindset is, okay, mom's a trigger for me. She's disrespectful. She's manipulative. She uses me. Stop doing it. Stop allowing it. A person can only do that to you if you allow it. I understand it's family. You love your mom, whatever, but you have to stop allowing her to trigger you. And then when the trigger happens, the whole household goes down within minutes, and it starts over.
Man, Leona, you went right into the next segment that Suzie was going into. So she has an ex-husband, and she said that she's been divorced since 2019, and she's still in the space with him. It was a toxic marriage, and she's aware that he has narcissistic traits, and they've been together for 12 years. She said physically, mentally, and emotionally, he was abusive, and he's still attempting to do stuff to be in her space. She says that she's identified that she has codependent behaviors herself. And she said, how do you allow someone to be in your life but keep your distance knowing this? She said he uses his daughter, which is her ex-stepdaughter, and her son, which is his ex-stepson, to keep his claws into her. She says she understands it's controlling, and she understands that the analogy is kind of like a dog pissing on your leg to mark their territory. But she had an incident recently where he came and manipulated to say he wanted to go to an event with her son, and one of her exes was at the event. And he told her that he felt hurt and betrayed because as much help as he gives her and her son, that he cannot believe that she will have other men in her life. He doesn't care what arena, they just shouldn't be there, basically. And it triggered feelings for her because he's also an alcoholic. And so she feels that she needs to keep him near because she's scared if she removes herself, then he'll go back to drinking. And so
No.
I'm gonna go for it, Sue.
No, you're what? Oh, you muted yourself already. Yeah, so same thing with the mother. So first of all, it makes sense that you have codependent traits, having like with that understanding of how your mother is. That's totally normal for someone who grew up in a situation like that to develop codependency. And codependency, I think of as just enabling people who are abusive towards you to continue to do it. Okay,
Right.
to get rid of the psychobabble. These fake words that just totally gaslight us to themselves. Okay, so the ex-husband, same thing. She literally said, because I allow it. Ding, 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 bingo. Okay, so codependency, though, is not an excuse. I have PTSD. We are prone to self-medicate. I would love to just day drink all day and never do anything and just period. But I don't. Like, you don't have to give in to these symptoms and indulge in letting people abuse you. I'm here to tell you that. Like, put your foot down. And you got these kids, all the more reason to not let him do that, because look at what you're modeling for them. Okay. Next thing, him being so hurt by whatever he did. No, he's not. You said he's a narcissist, and you said you don't want to call him that. Why not? If he fits all of the characteristics, if it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, right? He wasn't hurt. That's what they do. They pretend that they're hurt. They act like you did this, so it's your fault to keep you fueling them, whatever. That's the only reason he said that or acts like that. And even if he is hurt, who cares? Because he abused you. He physically abused you. That's reason enough to never talk to someone again. But all the other stuff on top of it. You need to protect yourself. As women, we don't understand the danger that we're in with these people. When they become physically abusive, I would say all abusive relationships will end in death. If we don't stop these things, the number of women who have been killed by their husband or boyfriends since 9/11 has been more than the casualties of the war on terror in our country. We're at risk.
Let's talk about the suicides too.
Yes. Okay. And narcissists don't kill themselves. They love themselves too much to ever do that. They make us kill ourselves. So anyway, don't fall for his lies. When he said, all I've done for you, and this is how you, no one does that. No one who really loves you keeps a tally of everything they've ever done. Has he ever said all the stuff that you've done in the relationship, all the stuff that you've done for him? No. So this is just another flex, another power play. Non-narcissistic people don't do that. So another thing you said, oh, he only came because they told him there was a game and I was there, and like, don't tell him anything. So one of the things that this is just, again, with the dangers that we put ourselves in because we think this guy who loves us deserves, and he doesn't love you. Maybe he doesn't, but if that's love, I don't want it. A second of your day, when I learned this, because I was in a situation with a narcissist, thank God I recognized it with Shonda's help, and left. When you know, you go. You can't continue to have, there's a no contact rule. If you let them, just like we were just talking about with your mom, if you let them, they will do it. They'll suck the life out, and that's exactly what he's doing. I understand that you feel more susceptible to falling for this stuff and fueling his abusive behavior towards you because you're codependent, but you don't have to be. These diagnoses are what, it's not a life sentence for codependency or even narcissism. They can change, they just don't want to. So don't be like them. Don't not want to change. You can take ownership of your life and your decisions, and you can not drop these hints that I'm going to be at the baseball game. Oh, I can't believe he came. And he has no right to tell you who you can be with or who you can't be with. None of this makes sense to someone who's not in, like, you're just in this like vortex of non-reality. So we're asking you to please step out of it. For my own, I was getting really angry when I didn't even want to listen to that whole voice message because it was just so frustrating. I don't know why we put up with it. I know why we put up with it. because we were raised to not have boundaries, but those days are over. Okay, we're done. That's all I have to say.
So you want me to go now?
Yes.
This woman has some great qualities, okay? She's a people pleaser, and but she's also a pleasure seeker. That's not a fault of hers, but she's pleasing the wrong people, and she's seeking pleasure from the wrong people that can't give her what she needs. This woman hasn't been loved genuinely by good people in a very long time. Her love language is acts of service, but she's dealing with people that have a love less language, which is acts of disservice. I talk about this all the time, and it's called relationship mismatch, where she's giving and they're taking. There's no such thing as give and take. It's give and receive. She's giving, but she hasn't received a darn thing between her mother and this man. I'm not putting anybody down, but this woman is a giver, okay? And so we talk about all these other things. I get it. Yep, great things that you said, by the way. But it goes to the root cause of the problem from her and the root issues that she has and what she's really stuck on. And she's wants to take care of everybody, but nobody is willing to take care of her. So she has replaced her love with being abuse. And so if she gets abused by her mother, by the husband, I'm not saying that's her love, but that's her attention level. That's what they give her. She looks at it as if they're returning their attention to her in a negative way. And so it's been so long since she's got any positive attention from anybody, genuine love, and people that are righteous and loving and caring to her. She hasn't gotten that. So what she do? Women like that hold on to the smallest thing they can get, even if it is abuse.
Yeah, negative attention is better than no attention. Like without human interaction, we would just disintegrate. But that doesn't mean. Yeah.
Yeah, because we need it. And the lie that's been out to us is particularly, I can speak for all women, but I know particularly for Black women that's exactly it. Negative attention is better than no attention, because that's really all that there is for us. My advice is to get safe and reliable friends and men. And Leon is going to help me come up with some tools in writing while I write with Suzie. Because I'll be writing with Suzie, but I need Uncle Leon's guidance for me to actually know how to move forward. Because as you guys see, I can say things and see things, but with Leon's perspective, it piles it out there all the way. But particularly for Black women, we don't have too many safe places. Everything in our aura is toxic. Toxic is our norm. It is our norm. And so we believe that we're supposed to just figure it out on our own. We believe, we're taught to deal with our struggles quietly, to not tell our business to people, to keep our issues internally, to deal with the trauma, to be abused. We're taught that this is all normal to us. We're taught that when we say ouch, somebody says, you can't say ouch because my ouch is worse than yours and I ain't saying ouch. So let's go to the third video. So the third one she said is about her sister. And she says her sister is 34 years of age. And she's recently dating a guy. It's been about 3 or 4 months now. And she brought him home for Thanksgiving dinner. And he reminds her of a manipulator because she notices things that she's seen from her ex. And she said this guy is, I believe, from another country. And so he's illegal or he got some immigration issues. And he just told her sister this around Thanksgiving time. But he says that he told her this when they first met. The sister says she does not remember him telling this. She knows that she will remember something as serious as this. Now he's pressuring her to be serious. And the sister told him she needs time, but he's continuing to pressure her more and more. And even talking about marriage. And he's so the sister, she's realizing, has become so fixated on this relationship, and she's not taking the time to work on these things or herself. This is the sister that she's had with the same mother. And she says she doesn't know how to help her sister, as she's also learning herself. She also has other friends who have men that have a lot of these manipulation, control issues, narcissistic traits. And she's seeing her other friends feel helpless, lost, and stuck. And she knows that that's not the way to continue to stay this way, but she feels stuck on how to help them and what advice can she give to them. So she's asking for Uncle Leon and Sissy Suzie to give her some guidance on that.
First of all, the type of man that she has is already illegal. So, and then he's pressing her to get married, so that he can not be illegal and stay here. And it's not like he's gonna stay with her if they get married. Then he has rules and grounds to divorce her and live life over here the way he wants. And I always talk to women. I say it's not about the attraction, but it's about what's this selection? Why do you select this dude? You know, and then he told you something that you don't remember. He says that he told you, but you know darn well he didn't tell you. That's a lie right there. That's a big lie, because it's like it will cause her to possibly get married. She's got an illegal, I don't like call him alien, but she's got an illegal man in her life, in her home, and she's jeopardizing her career because based on what? Why did she select him? What does she want from him? She thinks she's gonna get a husband. He's already lying to you about something that he should not lie about. You don't just tell people that and then think they forgot about it. He never told her, because like she said, she would have remembered something that serious. So she's hanging on. She's giving women do it more than men, but they give people chance after chance after chance, and guess what? They wind up dead, abused, left alone, misused, money gone, credit score affected, everything, health affected. Why? Because of the type of men that they select. And why are you selecting these type of men? I like to ask, how was their father? And so my answer to her is she got to put herself around, and one of y'all mentioned it, better people, better men, and stop wanting to rehabilitate these damn men. A lot of women have that, and it is a problem. It's a bad trait. It's a bad flaw that women have. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Stop trying to rebuild people. They come to you already broken. They need to take care of their brokenness before they get to you, or unless they're going to break you. And so these two women are being broken by, one being broken by her mother and her husband, and her sister being broken by this guy that shouldn't even be here, shouldn't even be in her life, shouldn't even be around her. So they gotta find a better selection than men. Well, both of them do. And so, like I said, what did they learn from their dad? Do they have any men in their life that's mentoring them, that's helping them, that's guiding them? Probably not. And that's not a knock on them, but I would like to ask them to find better quality people that are suited to be in their life, to help them grow, mature. We all need that, and develop. Instead of finding these guys that you got to build a bear.
Yeah. Yeah, dudes aren't a Lego set that we got to put together. For sure. Yeah, and I would like to answer her question of how she doesn't know what to do to help her sister, make her sister see this. Well, you said the woman who asked us this, she said that she could recognize his manipulative behaviors because she knows from her ex-husband that we just talked about, that she just says she still interacts with, that she still gives access to her to abuse her. So literally, when you're judging someone else, you're literally judging yourself. And this is a great example. So the best way to help your sister, and all women who are, doing this, is to stop doing it yourself. If you start, until you model it, you can't say anything. Until you model it, you can't expect other people to believe it's even possible. So, because even if you tell her, she's going to be like, well, this is what you do with your ex-husband. So obviously this is the only thing we can do. So when you change and you give yourself that love, find other people that are positive influences, but it has to come from within as well. I would say first, then we're the placebo. They see that it's possible to not be this way when someone is visibly not that way, when someone is not suffering from all these weird afflictions that we pretend are real, then they're not real anymore. Then it's possible to overcome these things. So that's the best advice that I could give to you, is that you just told me that you're literally doing everything that you're saying your sister's doing. We don't know that this guy's a narcissist though. He may, because he's undocumented, just want papers. So he might be doing manipulative stuff or narcissistic seeming stuff, but really it's because he needs this. And yeah, maybe she's the victim of that. But compared to being physically, psychologically, mentally, emotionally abused, like, I don't know that that's happening with this guy. So yeah, there's a potential red flag, or maybe he's just with her for a visa, whatever. In terms of wanting to help her with a manipulative partner, let's all start with ourselves. Let's make sure that we're representing womanhood the way that, now that we know better, we can do better, right? The last thing that I wanted to address that she said too was that she wanted us to talk about this because she said women don't know that it's toxic. It is very surprising when people treat you this way, that you think love you and whatever. So maybe we don't go into these things having labeled it or having talked about it with each other. So we don't know that it's toxic then when we're stuck in this cycle with these guys. But I would add that men don't necessarily know this either. So if a man grows up in a culture where that's all he sees, he might think that that's really just how you're supposed to act in a relationship. So when you encounter that in a relationship and you now know, oh no, I'm going to assert my boundaries because that's what I deserve, and you do it, if he's not a personality disorder narcissist, he'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that's what was happening. I do love you. Okay. And he'll change and he'll correct his behavior. So let's start by doing what's best for us and having those boundaries in place and asserting them and not putting up with lies and manipulation and deception. So now that we've recognized it, then when you're in a relationship, absolutely communicate those things. And if he makes adjustment to it and it was just a cultural norm, but he really loves you and can change, great. But if he doesn't, goodbye. Like, that's it. But then Leon, if you wanted to add to that, because the guy perspective.
He muted himself. You muted yourself, Mark.
Oh, you're mute.
Okay, I'm gonna add this because I'm almost to my appointment. Check this out. Susan, right? That's Susan and Shonda. Susan, right?
Suzanne, yeah.
Check this out. What if you're just theoretically, not even theoretically speaking, just role play, right? Hey, Susan, we're on a date, right? What would you tell me if I say, hey, Susan, what season are you in? What would you tell me? Straight up.
I don't know.
I'm in my summer season. I'm in my harvest season.
What season, Shonda?
Harvesting.
Okay, what does that mean? Like,
I'm reaping the harvest. Yeah, I'm reaping the harvest of all the work that happened over the years. And now I'm able to see what's going on. And I'm stepping into claiming everything that the enemy or whatever these desires were that was stolen from me and my family. I'm reaping the harvest of it now.
Okay, Susan, what season are you in?
I'm at Thanksgiving. I'm at the table. I'm feasting.
Huh? Say that again?
Yeah, after the harvest. I'm at the Thanksgiving table feasting. I'm literally eating.
So you have a good life right now. You're eating good,
yes.
You're happy,
yes.
Your body and your mind is nurtured, right?
Yes. Come on, Uncle Leon. Come on.
Now you ask a guy, now if a woman asks me what season I'm in right now, my season is loving, caring, nurturing, continue my healing, therapy, helping people. That's my season. So now we can talk about that.
I love it. I think we just all said that in different ways just now.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, and so if women start asking men on a date, what season are you in? If she'd asked that dude, what season are you in? He'd have been like, red flags would have been popping out of his mouth. Or he would have said, I'm an immigrant. I want some papers. I want to get married. That's not a season for her. That's not a season for anybody. Okay? So what I'm saying is that we don't ask people the simple questions. What season are you in? If they answer the question, it's going to be either a lie or a truth or something that you don't want to deal with. But we don't answer simple questions. Like she can, the other lady that sent all this information to you, ask her what season is she in. You know what she should say? A season of turmoil, a season of heartbreak, a season of being upset, a season of being used and abused. That's her season right now. She's not good enough to date anybody she shouldn't date. My therapist told me, my psychotherapist told me, you shouldn't be dating right now. What you need to do when we start, Leon, is to right now stop dating. And that's what I had to do. And then when I stopped dating, I spent time with myself. These women are not spending enough time with themselves, and so they're in other people's seasons.
Come on.
And they don't even have a chance to understand or grow or groom or cultivate their own season. That's what happens. That's what happens when you're a giver. That's what happens when your love language is acts of service. You become blind to everybody else's issues, and you want to help. They're not going to help you. So, what season are you in?
Man. Now I know that you're pressed for time, and so I'm gonna ask that we table the letter from the man to another time, because Suzie, tell me if I'm overstepping, but I want to make sure that we give him his specific time that he needs, because I don't want to rush Uncle Leon with what he has to say directly to the man, because that's going to speak directly to the men and to the women with that. So is it okay if we reschedule another time to do that with you guys?
Yeah, just don't. I don't mind if you don't wait too long. A whole week is too long. Give it a few days or whatever, a couple of days. I'm fine with that.
We'll do. We'll go on chat and see what day works best for us, and I'm cool with doing it. Just working on our schedule. But I do want to ask, in those videos that we sent you the other night, were you able to watch them? And just from Uncle Leon, from a male's perspective, I'm interested in your opinion. And just for the audience, what I'm asking him is, I sent him the video of my daughter's coming into womanhood video, where she was surrounded with her village, and the women and her and one of her father figures spoke into her life. It was her godfather, to affirm her with where she's coming at. But then there was also another video that I sent him from a Black woman speaking directly to Suzie and I on video about the pain of healing her childhood trauma and where she's at now. And so I'm really interested in what Leon's opinion is on both of those from a male's perspective.
So it's very from with your daughter coming into womanhood with her cycle, right?
Yes.
And everything else, very important, because men don't understand when a woman is going through that on the bad side of it, the cramps, the hot flashes, the not feeling good, the cravings. I understood that because when I was 10, I was going to the store, not just getting my mother's tampons and stuff like that, but I had to understand, like, what is this? What is it for? Blah, 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 blah. And throughout my life, my marriage, my ex-wife would always tell me the days, ovulation periods and all of these things. And it was great education for me, because prior to that, I would see, her going through it, or see something in the bathroom, like freak out, but that's nature. And I didn't understand that. Men see it, and then they don't understand it. But they don't understand how it affects a woman for 3 days, for 7 days, for 10 days. The emotional roller coaster before, during, and after. Men don't understand that, especially when it comes to after the menstrual cycle is over. What women like to do, or they like to be hugged, they like to be held. Though this is a period in every month for a woman, the younger women up until they reach menopause. This is a period in every month for a woman that things are going to change in the household. The mind's going to change. The body's going to, for that week, or 7 to 10 days. So that was very important. But men need to be educated on that thing. Those things, like, they don't know. But the other woman, when she's talking about, what did you say? What did you say again, Shonda?
That was the video of the girl talking about the childhood traumas with me and Suzie that you watched, and her explaining, she explained so much, from the church to her hiding her issues, to her seeing the generational curses come through with her family.
She's aware. Right. I didn't mean to cut you off. She's aware. The fact about being aware means that you now can understand your family history, and where you want it to go. I had an issue with my family history, because we were dealing with intergenerational transmission of family violence, and it just kept going on. And I just had this discussion with my aunt, who's 86, just the other day. I said, Marie, I'm tired of pushing this stuff forward. But then I went through therapy. Nobody else in my family has gone through therapy, and I guarantee you, if they do, they'll find out they're freaking narcissists too. And so they refuse. I have a lot of them in my family. I know for a fact, because the way that I am, the way that I think, the things I've experienced. But that lady that, has taken it on to change and understand who she is and where family is going, she's going she's gonna be the one that's gonna be okay. But what's gonna happen is that they're gonna start disliking her, shunning her, pushing her away. But you got to realize when people do that, those are the demons pushing you away. Until they get help, they'll be okay. But if they don't get help, until they get help, they're not gonna be okay. But when they get help in that whole family, it'll be better. But she's got to start now. I'm 56. In my generation, I'm probably the youngest besides my sister out of all the grown, dysfunctional adults in their 60s. And when people reach that age, guess what? They have a hard time changing.
Yes.
Especially if they don't get therapy.
Yes.
So now I become the black sheep of the family because I got therapy, and I'm not pointing fingers at my family. I'm talking about things that I learned in therapy.
Yes.
But then I get chastised and get kicked to the side, and so it's nothing I can do about that. But I did my part, and so that's my blessing, and that's my gift to others. Do your part, put the information out there, go on your journey, and then sometimes it may not be family that's going to want to go on a journey with you because they just don't want it. They don't want the help. They don't think they have a problem. And my family has a major issue in not thinking that there's anything wrong with them.
Come on, Leon. Come on. And I just want to go and tap into the spirituality of it. The Bible said, and the truth shall make you free. And if someone is telling you truth and that's it, and it's triggering you, that means that it's something deeper in there that you have to work, religious spirit. And if you continue to fight a religious spirit, God said that you're gaslighting him. And the reason why you don't hear from him is because he don't take gaslighting too often. He don't take it. And so just so you guys know, when a family member is telling y'all something, and when people are telling you the truth and it makes you feel uncomfortable, what Leon is saying is don't run from it. Lean into it. Learn to say stuff like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Give me some time to process. Don't go back and tell them that's not true. Don't go back and tell them you don't know what you're talking about. Don't go back and tell them that they got the powdered butt syndrome, meaning I powdered your butt. Who you think you are telling me about myself? Like you said, that's narcissism in you. Those are narcissistic traits. Stop it. If you really want a real relationship with your family, stop it. Stop it. If they're just telling you the truth and there is no other stuff that's coming, but it's just facts, listen. Listen, especially if they've done their work. You want to know what's wrong with your family? You want to know what's wrong with your kids? And I'm not talking to the girl that's in the video because like you said, she already doing her work. She's doing great. Talking to the rest. You want to know why you don't have a relationship with the kids? You want to know why your son ain't talking to you? You want to know why your son out here sleeping around with all these women? You want to know why your daughter out here sleeping around with all these men? You want to know why your kids are in these drugs and doing all this stuff that you don't know why? Because you don't listen. And you refuse to heal. You refuse to say you have issues. You refuse to say that you don't have the answers to everything. You're toxic. You're manipulative. You're controlling. And your ego is bigger than this house. Like the song with Beyonce, you got a big ego, such a big ego that nobody else can fit in the space with you. Emotionally, you're a toddler. Spiritually, you might be a giant, but emotionally, you're a toddler. And guess where you deal with people on earth? In the emotions. So if you want to break your generational curses, if you want to get healing in your family, deal with yourself first. I'm sorry, I just had to say that, Sue. Go ahead, sweetie. I'm sorry.
No, I'm done. Leon, if you want to add anything else, otherwise we can wrap up.
No, I'm good. But no, I'm good. Yeah, that generational curse is just used as a term, but you have to do something about it. And that means standing up to your family and expecting to lose family members.
You have to. You have to move beyond. They'll come back if they do the work. But you got to be willing. And that's why you got to have safe friends. I love how Leon so elegantly put what this is that Suzie and Leon do. And he called it rehab. You got to find your rehab in your tribe. You got to find you a safe tribe to have rehab. And until you find a safe tribe to find rehab, you're blessed that Uncle Leon, Sister Suzie, and Sister Shonda got a little time for you to be a rehab until you find your own. You're blessed. Take advantage and lean in. We are going to meet in a few more days about the comment with the man. If any of you, when you see this video, have anything that you need to ask Uncle Leon when he ain't so busy, I advise you to do it now. Because the thing that I know, particularly in my community, is it ain't too many Black men out here that we can talk to like this. And like this, how he is, they call the devil messes with people and they call him simps. They call him everything else other than what he is. Everything what he is. And that's to continue to confuse you. But I'm proud of the men. I'm proud of the men who listen in to Shonda and Suzie that say, even if I could just tap in gently to Uncle Leon, let me do that until we can get our own space. Because Uncle Leon is working to get you your own space. Eventually, you're going to get there. Because Suzie and I know you need it. Leon knows you need it, but Leon got to get he got to get other men together with him. He got to get it too. He's working on it, but y'all got to come out of y'all stuff too so he can walk with y'all. Come up out of these lies. You know you struggling. You know you uncomfortable, man. You know what you dealing with, sir. Stop this. You know you're miserable. Stop it.
And it affects us
deeply. So yeah, I'm glad that we didn't have this conversation because I didn't want to be like this when we talking to a man because I like to stay in my feminine energy.
Yes.
So yes, let's go ahead and it was some nuggets though. Uncle Leon said, no Build-A-Bears and men. Uncle Leon said, I can't quote a scripture word for word, but I know how to live it. And Suzie said, when you know, you go.
That's not my copyright. I heard that from somebody else, but yeah.
Well, Suzie said it from somebody else, and she said it in this. So when you see behavior and it ain't aligned,
Run.
you know it's there. Run.
Block, delete. Yes, all of it.
I love it. You got anything else, Uncle Leon, to add before we see when we'll meet again?
No, I'm good. Nope.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you all soon. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
I'm just going to stop the recording.
Okay.